Hey guys, season 12, part 2. Let's jump into it. So Marisol in part 2. Again, she was good. I didn't have any problems with her or anything. She was still, you know, good. Drew gets a little better when Bianca is involved, like when he's like engaged to her and like, you know, doing his thing and running for president. Eli. I still like Eli. I feel like after Romeo and Jules, Eli was a lot more calmed down and sure of himself. Of course, then after everything happened, he kind of tumbled for a little bit, but with the help of Bullfrog and Simpson, he was able to bring himself back up. Fiona is amazing, especially not only just because she already was, but when she helps Dallas after the thing happens. It's just Bianca. I love Bianca because she's really focusing on herself and her schooling and making something for herself and helping Drew. Dallas. I feel bad for Dallas because even though he did something wrong, he did decide to own up to it and he did decide to try to get better. Owen doesn't show up much, if I remember correctly. So Owen's a good brother, but I don't really have much to say about him. Jake is still Jake. He's still just like living his life and doing his thing. He is very sad because of Katie though. Mo is still good, but I feel like him making the joke about Katie was out of bounds. Imogen is, we see how amazing Imogen is when she's helping Fiona get over the break-in. Katie is still Katie, and yes, she made a mistake, but she didn't actually sleep with Darren, which is very important for people to know, so I'm still okay with Katie. And I like how Marisol is trying to, like, make her feel better. Luke, still a piece of shit. Becky, she gets better, especially with the whole Adam thing. Becky got a lot better, and I actually started to like her better, and then she plummeted a little bit when she said that Cam was selfish, but you know, whatever. Dave. I really like Dave, but then Dave also kind of started to disappear at the end of season 12, so we're just not going to talk about that. Claire. She did calm down and did, you know, do her thing, but forcing Eli to talk was not the best thing. It doesn't work for everybody. Connor, again, he's just kind of there. Allie. I feel so bad for Allie because she's trying to help Dallas after all that happens, and she tried to help Cam, and it just... Allie, I feel so bad for her. Adam's still a gem. Love Adam. I love how Adam is, like, so willing to just, you know, like, possibly work things out with Becky. I don't like how Becky went to the reparative therapy, but whatever. I think that's of this season, right? Yeah, she says take her parents' help. I don't understand that. Jenna. Poor Adam, but Jenna. She's still doing her thing, and she's trying to, you know, deal with the Cam thing as everyone is. Cam. What bothers me the most about Cam, not Cam himself, everybody plays him up to be the villain in his last episode, and he's not. Zig is coming on to his girl. Anybody would get jealous when that happens. I know my boyfriend doesn't like seeing people flirt with me in front of him. Like, Zig. Zig is the real villain. I do unpopular, popular opinion. I don't give a shit. I'm going to share my opinion. It's called My Opinion On. Zig should have kept his mouth shut. I realized Cam said something to him, but Zig should have been the bigger person and just walked away and kept his mouth shut. I still blame Zig for Cam unaliving himself. Tristan. Way too dramatic. Way too dramatic, where it's like, it's that bloodsucker Zig you have to worry about. Yes, he was right, but we all know how Cam feels about Zig. Maya. I like Maya. And I like her with Cam. And then Maya starts to plummet for me, but that's because she's going through stuff and nobody's trying to help her because she won't talk. And it's just, that explosion to Katie is one of the most powerful scenes I've ever seen. Tori. I don't like Tori at the very beginning because she's being way too rude to Maya when it was Zig's fault too. And then I like it when she actually apologizes and she actually tries to help Maya through it. Mr. Simpson. Still a great principal, and I like how Mr. Simpson was the one to help Eli because he knows what it's like to find the body of a student that unalived themselves. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's probably on YouTube. Go to Degrassi Season High, Season 2. It's a special where they have Pat Mastriani and Stacey Mistician, the ones who played Joey, Caitlin, give a speech about the topic. Miss O. She seems like a really caring teacher, though, which is nice to see. Talia. I don't like Talia. She rubs me the wrong way, because even her and Harry call Cam unaliving dude. So it's like, what the hell? Damon. I don't think he really shows up that much, except, you know, when Zig's like, stupid Tori and stupid Tristan talking about stupid Cam. Like, they're hurting. I get you don't want to hear it, but, like, they're hurting just because you didn't like the guy. Like, saying, you barely knew the guy. They were friends with him, Zig. How could you say they barely knew him? Vanessa. Vanessa, it's funny that the person they got to play Vanessa, her actual name is Vanessa, but it's funny that she showed up, you know, as Rocky's mom and was like, you know, you canceled on us, that's unacceptable. Harry. Ew. Just ew. He's creepy. Like, Rocky. So cute. Adorable little kid. Audra. Great mom. I love Drew's line in the second part of season 12 where it's like, where Dallas is like, I mean, your mom knew I had a kid, and Drew's like, my mom knows everything. Mrs. Coyne coming back. It's good to see Mrs. Coyne so happy and free and able to see Fiona, and it's just nice. Natalie Granger. She's a good mom to Imogen, no matter what Imogen thinks. Mr. and Mrs. Baker. I don't like them because that whole conversion therapy thing's trying to act holier than thou. Mr. and Mrs. Bandari, still great parents. Officer Turner was really nice to Fiona when she came up to him about her stuff. Mr. Perino, Mr. Armstrong, amazing teachers. Madame Janot, she was really good to talk to Zig and like help him through all that. I don't know if Mr. Townsend shows up. I know he's not there in the ending part of season 13, I think it is. Yes. Cliff, Claire's prom date. He's really sweet, and I love that moment where him and Claire are talking, and she has the realization, and she's like, "You're gay," and they laugh about it. That's kind of funny. Anyway, so Campbell is reluctant to go back to school and grows insecure about his romance with Maya when Zig becomes a threat. Yes, Zig is the one that is trying to move in on their relationship, and Cam got jealous. He shouldn't have started the fight, but he still felt jealous. Meanwhile, Dallas makes it his mission to win a date with Allie, which Allie's not that interested in you, and I love her line where she's like, I'm sorry, what was that last part? The laughter in my head was too loud. Claire moves into Eli's locker, which, okay. Eli reads Claire's diary and becomes jealous when he sees intimate details about Jake. Yeah, that's why you don't read somebody's diary. Like, you... what? The school reacts differently when Campbell unalives himself in the school garden. Everyone worries about Maya, seems to be the only person unaffected by what happened. Yes. So, yes, Maya is really going through it, but she's not showing it. So Katie and Marisol are trying to help her, and they don't know how to. Dallas blames himself for Cam's death and lashes out at Allie, which obviously him breaking the Ice Hounds display made a lot of sense. And Allie was trying to help him, and poor Allie, she couldn't. He was just so angry. Eli has trouble coming to terms with seeing Cam, which that makes a lot of sense because, you know, like the whole Simpson and Bullfrog in Simpson's office with Eli. I think that was really good to shine a light on what Simpson had gone through to help him. Eli has nightmares about Cam and tries to forget what he saw in the garden, burying himself into video making, which I think it's good to, you know, try to bury yourself in a project, but you also need to talk about it to your therapist and get through it. Jenna tries to prove Luke wrong about Connor, but regrets it when Connor asks her out. She doesn't regret it. I don't know. Okay, but yes, I'm bad that Becky said, you know, Luke has changed, so that Jenna gives Luke a chance, and then he's like the same person, right? But Jenna helping Connor was really sweet, and Connor, you know, asking out Jenna was sweet, and their whole thing, it'll be more in the relationships video, that's why I didn't really mention Connor here in the second part, but it's so cute. Recovering from the events in Las Vegas, Katie hangs out with Maya's friends. And I think it's good for Katie to just kind of hang out with Maya for a little bit and just kind of give her friends time to really, you know, mature over what happened. Eli tells Claire he took MDMA at the paint party, which causes her to worry more about him, thinking he needs to talk through his issues. Which, yes, he does need to talk through his issues to a therapist, but not to his girlfriend. Meanwhile, Jenna's embarrassed by her relationship with Connor when her friends begin making comments. And I think that was really stupid because if you're sure of your relationship and you really like this person, it shouldn't matter what other people think. But they also shouldn't have, like, teased her about it. Also, Katie tries to win Jake back by getting the garden reopened, which I think that was a good way to go because he really did appreciate that. When Drew moves out of Fiona's loft, Fiona gets a job and discovers the joys of tweeting, which, you know, that's just poor Drew, where it's like, Fiona's like, when are you abandoning me? And Drew's like, tomorrow. And she's like, what? And he's like, and he's like, oh, shit. She later comes across a burglar in her home, which can't imagine how terrifying that is. Meanwhile, Zig is tired of everyone talking about Campbell and acts out in French class, which he should have just, you know, talked to people separately instead of acting out, but whatever. Dallas finally gets Allie to go out with him, but hides the fact that he has a child, which you kind of can't really hide that from people, because, like, that's kind of a big part of your life. Fiona resorts to extreme measures to feel secure and decides to get a, which I understand, but at the same time, you need to go and get a permit and a license and take a test to do a background check. She later endangers herself in the process. Yes, do not go to a sketchy area. That is not a good idea. Meanwhile, Zig is forced to confront his demons about all the bad things he's done so far, which, of course, he would have to eventually, and I'm glad, you know, he's finally doing that and comes to terms with it. Also, Dallas tries to prevent Allie from finding out about his son while dealing with his son's mother. That's not exactly something you could do. When the mother comes and moves close to you with the son, you're kind of going to be asked to, you know, do your job as a dad. After being rejected by Zig, Maya tries to shed her good girl reputation by dressing provocatively and acting wildly at Drew's senior party. Yes, Maya's going through it, so that's why she's trying to dress provocatively and acting wild, because she's trying to, you know, deal with it. Meanwhile, Drew decides to run for student council president and is up against Claire, which honestly we all thought Claire was going to win, but then when Drew takes it seriously, when Bianca gives him that reality check of, if you took this seriously, you could win, yes, that is good. Connor's tired of Allie taking his time away with Jenna and attempts to set her up with Eli. Obviously, that was not a good idea. Don't just set up people because, you know, they're not well-suited. But, you know, Connor, you know, he thought it was a good idea. After posting her makeout session with Harry online, Maya has to deal with the consequences of her actions and finally confront her true feelings about Campbell. So, yes. posting the makeout session was bad, having the makeout session was bad, but she's like, Harry makes me feel good. Is there something wrong with that? And Katie takes over and goes, you can't replace Cam. And that leads to Maya finally letting her feelings out. And it is so powerful. It is amazing the way Degrassi did that. Meanwhile, Drew thinks he isn't cut out to be student council president, even though he is, and we see that in season 13, but you know, whatever. Connor wants Eli to get back together with Claire, which, I mean, everybody does, and Eli starts to see Connor, you know, Connor's reasoning why when he talks to her about the pudding on his shirt, but anyway, you know. With prom and graduation on the horizon of the Degrassi graduates, Imogen soon finds out she failed all her classes and will unfortunately have to repeat her senior year, which I think is really sad because she really did want to go to design school with Fiona, but Fiona was really supportive through that. Meanwhile, when Fiona is offered an internship in Italy, Imogen does everything in her power to make sure Fiona stays in town, which I think it was bad for Imogen to pretend to be Fiona. Obviously, pretend to be inebriated. That was just so awful, and I mean, Imogen, my respect for her plummeted a little bit during that, honestly. Also, with Eli pursuing her relentlessly, Claire finds a lump on her back and grows scared of the fact that she may have cancer. Yes, but you know, at least she, you know, gets back together with Eli and everything goes well. And Mo thinks his friendship with Jake will end right after graduation and wants to lock down a bromance before the summer. But by doing so, jeopardizes his relationship with Marisol. That didn't jeopardize his relationship with Marisol. He locked down the bromance at graduation, and it was cute. And Jake was like, I'm thinking maybe our kids can play together, and that was cute. But I like how Imogen went to the airport and tracked Federico down and was like, look, give Fiona another chance. And, you know, I didn't think Imogen and Fiona had to break up, but they did. But I know this is an unpopular opinion. I'll talk about it more in the relationships video, exactly why, so you guys will have to wait for that. But not too much longer because we're almost done. But the reason why I think that that Fiona and Imogen were the non-toxic relationship was because I feel like Imogen and Fiona were actually good for each other, where I feel like Jack wasn't very good for Imogen. There wasn't much to that relationship. It didn't really make sense. I mean, Jack was taking pictures of her boobs and sending them to other people, like the whole Power Squad was doing, but still. Or like the whole Power Cheer was doing it, but still. And like, you know, I probably should have just said her revealing photos. But anyway, you know, she was doing that. And she was like saying that Imogen should be upset about it. And like, there were just so many instances where I'm like, Fiona was so much like better for Imogen. But anyway, that's the end of that video. Hopefully I seemed happier in these videos, but if I didn't, I'm sorry. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!